Coming up next, the story of the most upbeat hit song ever. And I'm serious. It's almost unfair how infectious and addicting this classic hit is, yet at the same time, it might be the most confusing song ever. It was written about a guy, and his name is the main hook of the song, but it's not a name that anyone would ever associate with a guy. So when today's iconic band recorded it, they changed the gender of that guy to a girl. But again, the name repeated in the song would never be associated with a girl either, or a human being. But it became a smash #1 hit. This band would have a slew of hits over a couple of years, including 3 big #1 hits. There are 3 of the most played songs in history. Problem is, nobody under the age of 40 remembers them, and they may have had the best vocal harmonies of their time, right there with the Beatles and the Beach Boys. We have an interview with the band coming up next, and the story. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember the first TV dinner you ever had, I remember the first one I ever had, well, you'll dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the big red button and click the notification bell so you always know when our stuff's coming out. We have some really cool interviews coming out, some real legends, and also check out our Patreon and our merch. So I'm excited to return to our series Revelations, where featured artists go deep on their greatest songs and their greatest albums. Methodical interviews on these songs with the artists that you just won't find anywhere else, where we talk about the songs and give you the story. When anyone talks about the most popular songs in history, chances are today's band is likely never mentioned. Yet today's band recorded 3 of the biggest songs ever within about a year of each other. I mean, truly, for a couple of years, they were holding their own against the Beatles and the Stones and the Beach Boys. They had 6 huge hits in just a couple of years, including today's 2 classic songs. We've covered them once before, but not these songs. I'm talking about the vocally superior group, The Association, and their 2 big hits, Never My Love. Never My Love. And one of my favorites, Wendy. We have an interview with the band, but let me set it up really quick for you. Never My Love finished the 20th century as the 2nd most played song in the history of radio. It was right behind You've Lost That Love and Feeling. It was written by the songwriting team of Don and Dick Adrisi. This duo had many hits with We've Got to Get It On Again, We've got to get it on again. Work it out again, and Slow Dancing, Don't Turn Me On. When the Association got a hold of Never My Love, their signature blend, when they put it on it, it became one of the biggest hits in 1967. The Association had just ruled 66 with their hit Cherish, that everyone thought was a love song, though it was really about unrequited love. Its legacy thereafter was set in stone because it was a standard on light AM and FM stations from there. That's why it's one of the most played songs ever. I mean, every time you're in a dentist's office, doctor's office, grocery store, furniture store, you get what I'm talking about. I'm excited to cover Wendy because to me it's the catchiest, most uplifting song of the 60s. It just makes you happy with joy. Wendy was written by Ruth Ann Friedman. She was a singer-songwriter living in the middle of San Francisco and Los Angeles in the music scene in the 60s. She actually became friends with Beach Boys lyricist Van Dyke Parks, and he introduced her to the Association, who were the first to record this song. There have been other versions. Apparently, Ruth Ann wrote the song Wendy about a guy who came to visit her. She said, and I quote, "He was staring at me as if he was going to suck the life out of me. So I started to fantasize about what kind of guy I would like to be with." And that was Wendy, a guy, a fantasy. The song took me about 20 minutes to write, end of quote. The only problem is, I don't know a lot of guys named Wendy. Do you? When the Association got a hold of it, they changed the guy to a girl, but they kept the name Wendy. A lot of people thought it was Wendy, or they thought it was about the weather. I don't know. But legendary producer Bones Howe came in and he whipped the vocal pros in shape in the association. He changed the song from a waltz to a standard 4/4 beat. And he worked the guys from the association for about 18 hours straight one night to get it. Many of them were exhausted, and they'd actually lost their voices by the time it was over. All of them had to sing the last part together just to get through it. With the Wrecking Crew playing on it, the stellar vocals, the song became a #1 smash in 1967. And then as quickly as the association's reign began, it dwindled quickly thereafter. Their last top 10 hit was Everything That Touches You. In my most secure moments, I still can't believe. And then they had their last top 40 hit, Time for Living. Time for living. That was in 1968. They ruled music for 2 years solid, and then they vanished without a trace until the 80s when they had a Hot 100 hit in 1981 called Dreamer, and they continued to tour from there. One of their main songwriters and co-founding members, Terry Kirkman, passed away in 2023. But you know what? Their music lives on and on and on. So let's get into this interview. Here it is. I want to talk about Windy. How did you find it, the recording of it? If I actually had to say, what's the happiest song of all time, it's Windy. It's just one of those songs that puts a pep in your step. I mean,
the gal that wrote it was a very dear friend of ours, and 4 of us lived together. And for about 2 or 3 weeks, Ruth Ann slept on the couch in the living room. She had left home to seek her fame and fortune, and wrote these really far out, we call them avant-garde songs, and we did a couple of them, never recorded them, but one weekend she went to San Francisco, and when she came back she said, I wrote this kind of contemporary thing that you guys might like. She wrote it about a guy in San Francisco named Windy, who was this free spirit, kind of burned out hippie, and sat down and played it for us, and we said, well, that's kind of cool. We'll take it to Bones. We were getting ready to record. And when Bones heard it, he said, I've got an idea. Because he kind of saw us as an avant-garde folk kind of thing. And he had that kind of feeling for it. Ray Pullman actually wrote the chart, one of the Wrecking Crew guys. And when we heard the chart, everybody just went, oh, wow, that's it. One of the few songs that when we recorded, you just knew. Others you thought, this has got a shot.
Or you didn't think, no, but it would anyway.
This one, there was no doubt. When we finished it like, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when we were supposed to go to the airport and go on the road to, I think it was Birmingham, Alabama. And we had a rough demo of it. And we played it when we got to the gig. We played it on the house sound system, and we were all dancing around in the aisles. Ruth Ann was, just this, and she's performing again now. And we're in touch with her. Yeah, she lives out in Santa Monica and performs around there, and is doing great. Just released an album of all her stuff.
Hal Blaine played drums on it.
Airbrains.
Oh, yeah. Airbrain. I tell you, those guys, that was the deal. A lot of people didn't know it, and the managers tried to hide it. But we worked with the Wrecking Crew for those 2 albums, Inside Out and Birthday. And I tell you, it was the most fun. Those guys were so cool.
Just pros.
And, you sit down, you go through the song the first time, and Bones gave us a lot of input, to talk to the guys, and they were just so cool. Oh, okay, yeah, well, let me try this, and they just instantly, and you go, holy cow. And it was fun. It was great fun, and the results were just phenomenal.
Well, you guys gave Wes Montgomery his biggest hit with that song.
Windy.
It went to number 44, his version of it, and that was his highest charting legend.
I loved his.
What'd you think of it when Breaking Bad used it? Did you see that or hear about that?
I never saw it.
Yeah, I heard about it after the fact.
Yeah. South Park did a little thing on it.
The kid with a heart full of magic. Everyone knows it's butter.
That's me.
And Drew Carey show. It's
Yeah,
been
I saw
used.
the Drew Carey one.
Yeah.
That was funny where they're dancing around the room.
When you look out in the audience now and you're playing that over the last 10 years and you're seeing, another generation singing along with it, what was it? Tell me about that feeling.
Cool.
That's, sometimes when you start something, you can feel the response from the audience, and it is so visceral. Sometimes I get so choked up I can barely sing.
Yeah.
And especially with Never My Love and Cherish, but Wendy also. You start that, and it's just this wave of appreciation or whatever it is, their relationship to the song, and you can feel it. It's, whew.
That is, to me, really amazing to see those people. When you can see the audience, to see what's going on and just see them go, hoo-ha, and you can feel their
you can see them singing along and whispering to each other. Oh yeah.
I mean, there's no stronger feeling. That's why music is that universal language. As I've talked to lots of artists from the 60s, and I mean that. I mean, the 60s is the greatest decade ever. There's no question about that. I'm not even going to say that's an opinion. I'm going to say but, talking to like Lamont Dozier and Bill Medley and Brian Wilson and Roger McGuinn, they talked about this competition. I mean, there was this amazing competition, the Beatles and the Stones and the Beach Boys of pushing music forward. Did you guys kind of feel that a little bit as you were listening with something?
We felt it more as a camaraderie, I think, than a competition, because a lot of us knew each other. A lot of the groups. I know Terry and Brian Wilson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terry and Brian Wilson were very close. We knew, Jimmy McGuinn is when we knew him. And so, a lot of us, like I said, it was more a camaraderie, a small community of people.
But you would hear, it really wasn't competition at all, but you would hear somebody do something, bring out a record and say, oh, God, I got to do something that good.
Yeah.
That's really what it would do. It would inspire you more than make you feel competitive.
I remember being with my brother at Frank Zappa's house, came in the house and he says, oh, man, he says, the Byrds just had this monster hit.
Yeah,
he says, it's from the Bible. This is going to be a smash.
Oh.
To everything, turn.
Turn.
Yeah, that was it.
And, it wasn't like, oh, those dirty rats. It's like, oh, cool. Oh, they took something from the Bible. Oh, that's really neat. Of course, we didn't know it was a, Seeger thing.
Oh, yeah, Pete Seeger.
But we were all Seeger fans from the word
Oh,
go.
jeez, from the old folk
We
music,
all, cut our chops on Pete.
So, Never My Love, let's talk about that. The second most played song in the 20th century, BMI.
Never my love.
It's funny, you're talking about Bill Medley. You guys were 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You've lost that love and
We just
feeling.
played with him.
And then Never My Love. Another song that you never probably thought you could out-cherish. Never My Love gets pretty close. It's an amazing song.
Well, we had the wonderful fortune of working with Clark Burroughs from the Hi-Lows. And he just outshined himself on the vocal arrangement for that. But I have to say, a lot of the success of that belongs to Bones and the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
Because when they did the basic track, all the wives would say, oh, I just want to swoon when I hear that.
You ask me if that.
Dick and Donna Dreesy, who wrote that, were staff writers for our first record company. And we called them Frick and Frack. They would come over to the house where 4 of us lived, knock on the door. We open the door, and here they are, either sitting on the ground, one behind the other, and would row into the house using the guitar as an oar.
Insane.
And then they'd sit on the amplifier and sing us the song that they had just written. We recorded, I think, 3 or 4 things of theirs. I mean, they're just incredible stuff. Don't Blame the Rain or Go Blame the Rain on the first album.
Go blame the rain for your cloudburst and teardrops.
They were just such wonderful guys. And they sang on the tag for Wendy, along with Ruth Ann and Russ's wife, Bertie, and my wife, Joellen. Everybody sang on the Who's Tripping Down the
I mean, did you know that Never My Love was a hit when you heard it, when they were starting to put it together?
Well, as it was coming together, we sure had a strong feeling about it. It wasn't quite as strong as like what happened with Wendy, but it was very strong. And like I said, all the wives were just,
swooning.
Oh my God,
Never my love.
It went to number 2, but it went number 1 Cashbox.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's funny, the number 1 hit kind of thing, because Along Comes Mary went to number 7 and stuff like that. And people, like Don't Stop Believin' went to number 9. Some of these songs that were never number 1 hits are bigger than a lot of songs that were number 1 hits.
Yeah.
And Never My Love, even though it didn't hit number 1, it's second most played song of all time.
What makes you think love will end when you know that
A part of that is it was covered so much by everybody.
Yeah.
Fifth Dimension had a big hit with it.
Oh, yeah. I love that version. I like you guys better, obviously, but... That's a fun version. Smokey Robinson, have you heard Smokey's version?
No, I haven't.
Bryan Adams.
Wonder if this heart of mine.
Lou Christie does it as an encore and as a killer version of it. I love it.
Never my love.
And of course, you're Barry Manilow when he covered on his...
Never my love.
Those songs, that particular one will continue being covered and continue being covered.
Never My Love is such the perfect wedding song. I mean, so many people have. Got to tell you this, the Adrisi brothers had a double wedding, and they hired a string quartet to play Never My Love as they're walking down the aisle. And Dick said he was walking down the aisle, and he passes his mother as the string quartet is playing, and he hears his mother say, "Oh, isn't that nice? They're playing Cherish." And he goes, "Mom!"
Well, it's got that other great peak like Cherish had, when you go to the ba 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 ba. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment on your thoughts about this song, about Wendy and about Never My Love, 2 of the greatest songs, truly. The Association are so underappreciated. They're one of the best vocal groups of the 60s. Let me know if you feel the same. What are some of your favorite songs? What other groups should we cover on here? Let's have a great discussion below. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you. It's all about the music, keeping it alive. Interviews, stories, the good stuff. Till next time, 3 chords in the truth, my friends.